Welcome everyone. So this live stream today is really going to be focused on, not just like what does Builder do, but really from the point of view of how can you use Builder for your entire team to really run a sprint, right? So not just like what can AI do, but how do you practically use AI in a team setting to accomplish all the things that you need to accomplish? And just to introduce myself, my name is Nick Nessel. I'm a solutions engineer here at Builder. I'm based in San Diego, so nice to meet you all. And we're just going to run through a couple things. We're going to be live in a demo for almost this whole time, so it'll be fun. So I'm not going to bore you with slides, but basically what we're going to walk through is just a quick intro. And then I've got a kind of example insurance company enterprise app that we'll walk through and how, as a whole team of product managers and designers and front-end engineers, how are they going to work together to achieve their sprints. So as I mentioned, right, like everyone is really impacted by AI these days. And when we talk about it, I think too often tools are saying, how can a designer get a tool that is going to help them? Or how can a PM improve their process? Or how can leadership or developers improve their process? And really, that's not really what we want to be doing. We don't want each of these five different personas using different tools to achieve this. What we really need is our whole team using one tool, and that's really what we're trying to do here with Builder for front end engineering. And what do we mean by that, by the whole team? If we take a quick step back and think like, as an organization, as a product team, what are the things that we're doing on a daily basis? There's usually kind of like four big buckets. The first one, of course, is strategic initiatives. These are the big bets. These are things that usually take maybe a few quarters to build. That's what's going to drive big time revenue for us in the future. It's really where the company needs to succeed. The second thing is app enhancements, right? So these are usually planned at the quarterly level. They're improving. They also take a lot of time, but maybe there's not quite as much research. It's more kind of building prototypes and getting those things out the door. The two on the bottom are, I think, almost like the necessary evils, right? We have a backlog that usually are smaller things, but the joke that I always hear is it's kind of the place where good ideas go to die. There's just never enough time to achieve what's happening in our backlog. And then, of course, support and bug fixes, which is mandatory to do, but it takes too much time. And so, what we'd really like to do is get all of those two things on the bottom complete really quickly. But if we could do it without spending any resources on it, that would be wonderful. And then when we look at those two buckets on the top, we'd really love our resources to be spending all of our time there and still getting as much throughput as quickly as possible, because those are things that are really driving the bottom line for a company. So when we start using Builder, this is really what we're looking at here. If we look at how our process will change, we don't want to just improve the prototyping box or just improve the convert to code box. And what we'd like to do instead is use a tool that's going to shrink all of those items down together. But at the same time, what I really want to point out is if you look in this top right where the iteration is if we can get things right the first time, and if we can build higher quality the first time, we're not just making the individual tasks faster, we're actually shrinking the number of handoffs and the number of things that need to be done as well. When we look at the bottom two buckets there of backlog and support fixes, this is really where we kind of ask the question, can this just happen for me? Could these just magically happen and maybe a developer just reviews them at the end? And we're going to touch on some of that stuff as well. So it's kind of a combination of let people be better at what they're doing, but also can we let AI just do a lot of the stuff that nobody wants to do, we don't want to spend the money on or spend the time on as well. So how are we going to show that? So, excuse me, I mentioned, and I'll give a disclaimer. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. I've got my cough drops here. I've got my water here. If I'm like suddenly randomly muting, it's because I'm probably coughing. And if I am slowly like seeming like I'm getting lower and lower energy, it's not because I'm not interested. It's just because I'm getting over it. But I think we'll be all right as we go. So give me a little bit of grace as we go through here today. So what we're going to do is I have this insurance company app and we're going to walk through, in any given sprint, we're doing things in those four big buckets of strategic initiatives, enhancements, the backlog we never get to, and the bug fixes. And so let's jump in and we'll do the fun demo part. And I apologize also. Sometimes our Zoom controls here get in my way and I can't quite see everything. So as we flip through screens, it might take a second for me here. But this is the builder interface. And I just want to quickly orient you to like, what is the app? What is this company that we're working on today? And this company is called InsureCo. They do insurance, and there's a lot that's happening here, right? We're a big enterprise that's doing a bunch of things. You can see we have like a landing marketing page that maybe we need to make updates to. If we want people to sign up, we also have this multi-step sign up form that we need to walk through as well, and we'll dig into these also. I'll point out a couple things just as little previews, right? Like I'll tell you right now, I really hate this progress bar. And it doesn't look very good on mobile either. I have to horizontal scroll and all that good stuff. So that's one of the things we'll be looking at as we navigate through. There's also a business dashboard that we need to use as well. And so for our users, our business folks, we've got big dashboards for them. They've got the ability to create and add properties in another separate multi-step workflow. So there's a lot going on here. Dashboards, sign up flows, landing pages, and we also were trying to build a whole new thing, which is a financial dashboard, which is one of the strategic initiatives we'll get through. So we'll be exploring around this application as we go. The other thing I'll point out is it's not just, that this application exists, but we also have a really established design system that we're using here. And so in this example, what I'll be using is the Carbon design system. And this is the design system from IBM. It's a publicly available design system. And as a way of setup here, Builder understands that design system already. What we're looking at here is a design system indexing that we've done. These are all the components from the IBM Carbon design system. Builder understands exactly how all these components work and how they're interconnected together. And so just as a quick setup, what we're going to do is we're going to open a bunch of different sandbox branches. We're going to make a bunch of changes here to our application. But what I want you all to understand, our starting point here is when you log into Builder, what we have is I do have my InsureCo application here. It's already been configured. And when I say it's been configured, what I mean is we're connected in to our repository so we can make edits to the code and branches. We've got our design system index and it understands the design system. And we have examples of code of how we want it to use as well. And so all that setup's been done. That's a one-time setup. And now as we go through the rest of this process, what I'll be doing is anytime I want to make a change, the way that I'm going to make a change is as a user, all I need to know is to come here, choose my InsureCo project, and say I'd like to create a new branch. And what this new branch does is it basically creates a sandbox for me where I can make any changes I'd like. I don't have to worry about that they're going to like break anything on our code. This is just a sandbox where I can create new changes here. We've got a process for if you're happy with your changes, we could hand those to a developer, send a PR, and get those things merged. But every time I open a new window here, this is the process that I'm doing. I'm already connected, and I'm just saying, I want to sandbox a new thing. I'm going to choose to create a new branch of that, which is basically a sandbox, and that's going to get us to this point here where we can then start, vibe coding away. I kind of hate the term vibe coding, but I think it's here to stay. So there we are. Cool. So let's get going. Kind of what we're going to do is I want to do all of this through the lens of we've got a 2-week sprint. And when we say a 2-week sprint, right, there's a few different personas that are typically involved in that. And I'm just going to say like we're a bit of a smaller product team. But of course, the same thing would apply for larger product teams. There would just be more things in the sprint, right? But if you could think we have product managers, we have developers, we have designers, we have external stakeholders who maybe want to review the work that's being done. So we've got a bunch of people, maybe some analysts in here as well. And our starting point here is a typical maybe Jira sprint planning. So at the top of this, what you could see is we've got a few different pieces. And I want you to always pay attention to this kind of second column here, because these are those types of work that I was mentioning, right? We have strategic work. So a new financial dashboard prototype. This is that big work. We're creating a whole new product, financial dashboards. We're going to sell it as a separate product. And we're in the very kind of early ideation stages there. So we need to get some good ideas out there. We've got some enhancements here of the existing. We need to create some new filters for our maps. That progress indicator we saw is no good. And we've got a few fields we need to add to the sign up form. And then we've got a bunch of like support stuff here, right? And it's not everything that's in our support queue, but it's the things that we know we couldn't resolve quickly and we need to get actual like engineering time assigned to it. So we've got a few support things clogging up our sprint as well. And then of course the backlog, lots and lots of good stuff down here, which we'll walk through. And boy, I wish we could do it all right now. But currently without Builder, all we can do is those things that are at the top. So let's jump in and let's get going. What I want to do first is focus on the support bucket, right? Now, what you can see is there's three pieces here. There's a date picker is displaying the time on all dates, map page navigation, and let's just look at a quick example of this. And so if I go and look in here, if I go into my sign up and choose to enter a date, we can see there's actually a bug here where um, oops, sorry. The date picker doesn't even really work. It's kind of showing the whole time in there as well. When I click away, it doesn't work. So this is a bug. We've got to get this thing fixed really quickly. There's a couple other bugs that we'll see in here as well. If I go into a mobile view and start navigating, this one was fixed here, but I think I've got it in another place where that doesn't work, and there's a few others. And so what I'd like to do here is like, this is something that needs to be fixed. It's not a huge thing, but normally I would need to assign an engineer to this, and it doesn't have to be just any engineer. It needs to be an engineer that actually knows that part of the code. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assign this to our builder bot. And this is kind of that first agentic piece that I'd like to show you all is rather than needing to figure out who's the right developer that knows how to fix that, take them off what they're currently working on so they can fix this. I'm going to ask our builder bot to fix that. And I'm going to do that with all three of these support issues. This one, when you're on the map page, this little back arrow here is on the wrong side. That's pretty annoying and it doesn't navigate to the right place. I'll assign that one to our builder bot as well. And our third support one where the side nav doesn't close quite right, I'm going to assign that one to our builder bot also. So these are three tasks. They're not huge. If you look at the sprint points, 4 points, 4 points, 6 points. I don't know, maybe that's a couple days of an engineer's time if we were to get that engineer working there. But again, it's not all engineers are created equal. We might have to find the three different ones here. What we can do with Builder, hey, Builder bot, take care of this, and we want to review that when you're ready. And what you can see is as I've assigned it, it actually switches the status to in progress for us. It gives us a little comment here, no problem, I'm working on it, and it's actually got to work already. So we're going to let that work for a minute or two. And while that's happening, I want to focus this on kind of the top of this thing, which is this financial dashboard prototypes. And so in this financial dashboard, what we have here is we need to build a whole new product. And if we remember this slide that I showed you first here, kind of the stage that we're at, and that is really this research phase. We've just concluded research and we want to start creating a little bit of some prototypes just to get out in front of people. We're not exactly like building the final product yet, but as a product manager, I've done a bunch of research and I want to get something quickly into people's hands to just start getting their feedback on the ideas that I have. And so as we look at this, what I've done is, we've already done a bunch of research and maybe we have this PRD in a PDF. I'll admit the way that I created this PRD was I asked ChatGPT create me a PRD for a financial dashboard, right? But this could be the product of a bunch of research. I could have also asked Builder to do it, I suppose, if I wanted. But, just something simple. You might have a 30-page PRD. It might be something very basic, but this is what we'll use as our example. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ticket here, and what we wanted to do is create 3 examples of what this financial dashboard could look like based on that PRD. And I'm going to come into Builder and ask it to do that. So first thing I'm going to do is Builder, I'm going to upload this PRD, our financial dashboard PRD, and I'm going to paste in just so you don't have to see me type this, give me a couple examples here. So what this is saying is I want 3 examples. One is a conservative example using Carbon components. One is a sleeker example, but still use our Carbon design system. And then the third one, I actually said, be wild, be creative. Make sure you stick to our branding, but come up with anything you want. Like really think outside the box. I've talked to some folks who like to use the terms like from mild to wild. They'll say like, give me 10 ideas from mild to wild or whatever you'd like here. But the idea is that I don't want to spend a lot of time in Figma at this moment, really trying to make these precise designs. I just need to like quickly get things in front of people to get them reacting to it based on the research. So that's what we're doing here. I'm a product manager, and I'm just saying, hey, give me some ideas here based on this purity. This is going to run pretty quick, but it's probably going to be more like minutes than it is seconds. And so just while this is running, we'll check in on our support stuff. But before we do that, I do want to point out this nice feature here is that I gave it this PRD, I asked it to do things, and Builder is now asking me, hey, before I get started, I've got a couple extra questions for you. Could you just clarify this for me to make sure that I do this right? And so what it's asking me here is, how should users navigate between the dashboard types? Do you want a bunch of tabs? Do you just want standalone demo pages? I'm going to say, make me separate routes here so I could, click back and forth in the menu. It's asking me for the asset performance ledger. Do we need to implement like the full drill down functionality? Clicking rows navigates to an asset detail page. Should it just open a modal, or do we just for now just make it look like you could click it but not? And I'm gonna actually say like, go ahead, give me the full navigation here. It's also clarifying what types of charts do we want to use. Do we want to make sure we use our design system charts? Could say we could use a mix of prototypes or make something custom. In this case, we want to use carbon charts. And then how realistic should the filters be? Yeah, no, make them work. We want people to see this and see the whole functionality. So, depending on what you give it, it sometimes will ask these clarifying questions just to make sure that you get it exactly right. And you could kind of also throttle that as well. So we'll let it run. It's getting going now. I've answered its questions, and let's check in on those support tickets while this is running. So I'm coming back into our Jira Sprint here. Oops. And let's look at that date picker. If we come down, my bet is it's already complete. Looks like it's just in the verifying stage, but let's go ahead and open that up. So there's a link directly to the work that our builder bot has done. And we could see it's popping up and it's telling us what's been modified here. And it looks like, yeah, the fix is now live on the date pickers. Let's see how it did. So let's go to that sign up form. Yeah, so here's that bug. The other bug we wanted to fix is that when I navigate, this menu stays open. We'll see that one fixed in a second. This is really annoying. I have to click that X and we wanted to fix that. So now when I select a date, all looks good, puts the date how we want it to be. And what I want to point out here is there's something else that it did, right? And what you could see is this file is modified. It actually modified 3 files, and I bet if we scroll up, it'll tell us, yeah. It went ahead and it said, yeah, I know that you asked me just to fix this date bug on the signup form, but I looked at the code base. That date picker is being used in 3 different places: the signup page, the file claim page, and the add property page. So I didn't just fix it there. I went ahead and fixed it everywhere. So this is a really key piece as well, right? It's not just like I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do. It's being thoughtful about the spirit of the question that you're asking, and it's letting you know what it's done. Excuse me, I need to take a drink, but so let's think about this then from a workflow point of view. The builder bot has just done this work and they've completed it. And so what we would typically do now is say, okay, great, the builder bot's done this work. Let me assign it to Nick, who is our developer, who can now come in and just give it a quick once over of like, does it look like it did that right? So as a developer, what I might want to do here now is I can see that it worked. I verified it. It seems like it worked. I can also jump into the code and see, well, how did you actually fix this code? Did you do it correctly? And if we look at the changes that happened here, we can see it made one helper function, which I'll be honest, I'm not, that great of a developer, so I don't 100% understand what it's doing, but it looks like it made a helper function just to check that that's working. And then it only had to make, a pretty small change on each of these different pages to make sure it's using that helper function. So as an engineer, that's the extent of what I needed to do to get this fixed. I came in, builder did it, looks good. I'm going to press send PR. And this is now going to create a pull request where the engineer has come in, they've reviewed it, the agent did the work, I reviewed it, looks like it's pretty good. I'm going to create a pull request now because, like, yeah, that quick once over looks fine, but we want to get this approved and pushed out to production. So whatever processes your engineering team uses now today, this pull request is going to go through those same processes. There's going to be, a nice description here of all the things that changed. There's even a link to the Jira ticket that it came from, right? So anything that you might need to review this request formally, your engineers now are ready to do it. So this is really great. This ticket that we did think was going to be, a 4-point ticket, which is maybe like a half a day for an engineer. I know we did that in a couple minutes, right? So maybe this now becomes a 1-story pointer. We did the same for the other 3. So that map page navigation, I'm not going to go through all of them, but we could go in and jump in and verify that this worked as well. So that process, right? What would have been about 2 days of work here for our engineers, and maybe different engineers because it might have required different skill sets. In this case now, those things were fixed for us right away. That didn't work. We could tell it that didn't work. Make it clear automatically. Sometimes it gets a little wrong and it'll just check, right? Before the fix. Oh, this was the different one. I didn't tell it to fix that menu navigation on there. That was our map page navigation. So that's why it didn't fix the one that I thought. If we go to this one, the side nav, that'll probably have our navigation fixed. And so this was another like really good point here, right? So these were 3 different fixes that I asked it to do. They're each in their own sandbox, and that's important because we don't want people bumping into each other, making changes at the same time. You don't want, if I'm, sandboxing something, I don't want you to see that in the sandbox either. And so until we actually do approve those changes and push in the code, they're only going to be in our little sandbox. Now we can see this menu navigation works as well. So that's just quick examples here. If we come back, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bump all these. These were actually ended up being just like 1 pointers, right? Instead of 4 pointers. And let's check back in on our financial dashboard, see how we're doing there. Okay, cool. So looks like that finished our financial dashboard. And it built out all 3 of these examples here. We can see the summary of all the great stuff that it did. After asking us those questions, it's giving us kind of some pros and cons of what it did as well. But let's just actually go ahead and look at what it built. So again, just to remind us where we are here, this is work that usually maybe a product manager would be working hand in hand with a designer to say, based on this PRD, here's kind of what we need to see. That designer is probably going to take probably an entire sprint, right, to start creating some of these examples. In this view, that it went ahead and it created us some nice examples here for our dashboard, our 3 modes, and let's go have a look at them. Holding my breath. I don't know. We'll see how it did. This was the conservative example. You could see it looks and feels exactly like the rest of the application. It used our charts here. Our filtering is fully functional. Looks like I could switch between bar charts and line charts, which is cool. It went ahead and built some high risk assets. I don't think I actually, let me see, high risk, highest claims to premium ratios. Okay. I don't know if that was in the PDF or if it just understood that this is what insurance companies would need to see. And then we've got a table of all of our assets at the bottom. I wonder if I click to view the details, vehicle not found, we can tell it to fix that if we need to. But let's walk through a few others. The option 2, I told it to make it a little sleeker. Looks like it rounded the edges. There's a little bit more space there. Generally looks to be similar. I don't have the high risk assets there. And let's see, number 3, this one's always fun. Let's see what happened here. Okay, yeah, so this is wild and creative. And probably we're not ever going to want to use this one completely. But I think what's good is what we find is when folks do, tell it to be wild is there might be one little piece, right, that you see in here that we really like. And so even though we're not going to use the whole thing, maybe what we like is actually this little bit of a filter bit here, where, it looks like I could search for assets and I could switch these filters work as well, which is cool. So if we look back at these three different models, here's what I'm going to do. So when I look at the first one, what I like is I like this high risk asset section. I think that's great. And let's just pick another one I think I saw right here. I think I do like this filters here, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Builder, I like number two the best, but please add the high risk assets from number one to number two. Also, I like the filters from number three. Add that style to number two also. And maybe I'll use my little selector here and I'll say, it's these filters, these filters. Right. So really quickly, I've got three examples. And now when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, take a little from one and a little from two, and let's put those together. This will run for a second, right? And while this is running, though, what we also want to do, we'll say we get this to a place where we need to get this in front of our stakeholders, right? And so if we look at our Jira tickets, this ideation phase, which was scheduled for 40 points, I don't know, let's say maybe this would have taken four, maybe, I'll spend a little bit more time on it. But what it means is that if we look down into our backlog, what was the next thing that we needed to do? We needed to review this financial prototype for their business team. So that's the first thing we can pull actually into this sprint that we weren't planning on. So now let's review these financial dashboards with the business team. What does that really mean for us? Well, what that means is I'm going to hit this share button here and get this share link so I could send it out to my stakeholders, send it out to my designers, send it out to my product team, whoever needs to see this. And now they could see everything I built here. Hey, y'all, click on that financial dashboards, go through these examples, let me know which ones you like the best. And now you can send this out to anyone. We could put a password on this if we need to. This page isn't loading because I think it's in the middle of being updated since I asked it to update that just now. I wasn't quite patient enough. I should have let it finish, right? But let's see if number three, yes, we can see number three here also. So what's really nice here, right? I've done this prototype. I've sent it out to my users. They're going to be able to provide me that feedback now. And all this can be happening kind of right basically within this one sprint cycle. I don't have to wait to do all these things sequentially. I'll also point out if we might want to say, put some comments in here. Hey, Nick, what would it say? I hate this number three. I don't know what it'd be. Hopefully it would be more constructive than that, right? But again, I just want to pause, right? So what we've done so far is we've knocked out all of our support tickets really quickly. We've saved a bunch of our engineering time there so they didn't have to do that. Now this big ticket item, which is one of the most important pieces that we need to do, I was able, without having to use a bunch of designer time, me as a PM, or you could say a designer, right, was able to come in here, get a few quick examples, get those in front of my stakeholders really, really quickly as well. And what I want to move on to next is really this enhancement section, which is these brown ones, which are more updates to our existing application. We fixed the stuff that we need to. We're ideating on new things here. But now I think this enhancement piece is where usually teams spend the most of their time. And I think it's also where it's the trickiest, typically with other tools, to start doing this work. And the reason why it's trickiest is because that new financial dashboard, it was kind of almost greenfield. You could ask almost any tool, hey, this is what our brand colors look like, come up with stuff, right? But for the enhancements, it needs to be really, really grounded in what already exists, right? I don't want to just like create something new. For instance, these map filters need to be in the context of what does the map page look like already. And so let's take this as an example now as our next one. If we look at our map filters, this is our map page that we have. And there's not really much filtering going on here. I could do properties and vehicles. I can drill down on this map, which is nice. By the way, I did use this whole app that I built, which is pretty cool and functional. Builder built this whole app for me as well. The first thing that I did was just say I want a map view, and it walked me through these options of figuring out that leaflet was the right thing. So that's a whole nother session, right? Of just like helping figure those things out. But what I've noticed here is we don't have those filters. And in this case, what it is we've already done the work as a designer. We're going to do two different examples here. The first example is I've already built out this filter that I want to see in Figma. And I'm a designer. I used Figma. This is what I want it to be. It's like this cascading filter kind of thing. And so a lot of times, your designers do that Figma work. We need to get this quickly into our application. So I'm going to use our Builder Figma plugin here. I've selected those two pieces, and I'm going to choose to Smart Export this. And what this is doing is it's copying all this great work I've done in Figma to my clipboard so I can get it into Builder. So when I come back to Builder now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control V. I'm going to paste in that Figma design and just give it a quick update of what I expect. Add this new filter to the map page. It should be minimized on the right side. When I click filter, the full filters should open. And then here's the other piece I'm going to do. I haven't put a lot of thought in the APIs and all that. I'm just going to say populate the filters with the data from our vehicle and property objects, right? This is that I think this piece here, what I'm doing is I'm a designer. I don't know how the APIs work. I don't know all the properties that are on our vehicles and that are on our properties. But when I'm making this prototype, I want it to be that way, right? And so this has a twofold benefit. So for one, what Builder is going to do now is it's going to actually go and look and see what's already on, in the documentation about these properties, and it's going to build us a prototype that's fully functional with those filters working. And second, when it comes time for our engineer to go and clean this up, it's already going to be connected to those APIs that we need to as well. So it's going to speed up that process also. And again, it's probably a minute or two, so we're going to multitask here. I apologize, we're flipping around, but hopefully we're keeping up. I'm just going to let this run for a couple minutes. You can see it's got its plan. It's going to create the filters. It's going to populate those filters with data and all that good stuff. Let's go back to our Jira, because the other one that I want to do here is for a designer where I don't have a Jira ticket. Okay. Or sorry, where I don't have a Figma design. And so what we have right now, instead of going into Figma first, this designer wants to get like 4 ideas out there really quickly again. And so in this case, I'm just going to copy this text and we'll read it together as I paste it in. But I'm going to open another sandbox here. And this is now the other work that our designer might want to do. We're starting at a point where all we know is like, we just really don't like this progress indicator. It's terrible. This is actually the Carbon design system default progress indicator. It's just not well suited for mobile when there's a lot of steps. So what I'm going to say here is, hey, this progress bar at the top of the sign up form looks terrible. I have to horizontal scroll, and I'm basically saying, give me 4 options. Update the current progress bar to make it vertical. And then I'm basically just saying, like, give me 2 other options. I don't know what they could be. And then a fourth one, I'm saying, don't worry about using Carbon. Venture outside of our design system if you want to on the fourth one. And I'm just going to ask it to build those examples. And so again, like, for a designer, this is a huge time savings. Sometimes you may want to go into Figma and build what you want to build. And, that's what we're doing with the map filters. Sometimes you're looking for inspiration and you just want to get a few ideas out there, see what it can cook up, and then we can go from there as well. So let's let this run for a little bit and we'll check back in on that as well. So let's see. Let me go back to our map filters. Let's see if it's completed that yet. Oh, it looks like it's just completing. Where'd it go? Let's tell it. I don't see the filters. Where are they? Do I need to click somewhere for? Oh, I see it overlaid it on top of the map here. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. It's not exactly where I wanted it. Uh, Although let's just see what it looks like while we're here. It is working. So let's say I don't want it overlaid on the map. Just put it under the set type filter. And I'm just gonna let this guy, and I'll just, it's still thinking about where did it put it, but while it's thinking it's gonna respond, it's queued that response for me here. So it's gonna go and it'll eventually tell me good news. I put it on top of the map. And as soon as it's done telling me that, maybe I'll just stop. Yeah. All right. Stopped it. And I'm just going to tell it I don't want it overlaid on the map, move it to the right. But while it's doing that, I mean, it does look like it did a pretty good job. And let's point out a couple things, right? And I think the thing that's the coolest here is that this is truly populated with the actual data from our vehicles and from our properties, right? And it's fully functioning. Okay, it's moved it out here. And what's also interesting is it even built in the interactivity between this other filter that's on the page. So if I choose to filter for properties here, all I'm seeing is properties here. If I choose to filter for vehicles, it switches to my vehicle filters here. So there's actually really a lot of intelligence that's built into this filter. A lot of those like kind of edge case kind of things that people will forget to put in requirements. It's thinking about that itself. And then the last thing I noticed, right, is kind of running off the edge. So let's just say it's kind of running off the right edge. Make it overlay on top of the screen if needed, so it doesn't edge. And another cool trick is I'm just going to go ahead and grab a screenshot of it so we can see what I'm talking about there. And we'll let it fix that as well. So, it's not 1000% perfect right out of the gate. I'd say it probably gets you to around 90-95%, but now you're in this place where you can kind of work with it for another couple minutes and get it to that kind of perfection that you want. So what this was really doing here, I think, is this was really like a coder's job, right? And so a developer would normally probably have to spend quite a bit of time building in the hooks between those filters. But again, we were able to accomplish this in just a couple minutes here and freeing up that developer's time. Okay, cool. Yeah, put it overlaid it up top there. It looks like it's still working. I bet it'll fix it once it's done working. Um, let's check back in on our progress bar page. And cool. So it did some good work here. Let's see. I asked it to summarize the options as well. So this is the progress indicator page that it built. And you can see it's got a new URL for progress preview. Here's the first one. It just took the existing indicator and it actually said, there's a variant that's vertical. Maybe that's what you need. And it's also giving me some pros and cons here. It takes up significant vertical space. The pro is that it uses carbon. We've got this other one that it created. There's a progress bar that's within carbon. And again, these are all carbon components. So these are part of our design system. It's got some pros and cons. Made a stepper here. This is, I do not like this one. I don't know what's supposed to happen here, but that one doesn't look very good. Let's see. And then option 4 is our circular mini stepper. And this one's red because it's a custom component. So this is not using carbon components. This is the one where I said, make something crazy if you want. And it's even giving me a recommendation. It recommends option 4 if you're okay with something custom, but if you want to stick with carbon, it's recommending option 2, which I also agree with. Um, Sorry, I just glanced at the chat. I see someone said, is there a carbon Figma template to use the components? Yeah, there actually is. So maybe I should have pointed this out at start. So what we have is, sorry, I have a lot of projects. At the bottom, anyone who uses Figma, we already have preloaded the IBM Carbon design system here, and we've got a few. There's Material UI, Carbon, AWS Cloudscape, and Shopify. These are all public design systems. So if you just want to get started with any old design system, you could use these and they're ready to go. Most of these also do publish uh, their own Figma kits, I guess they would be called. And this is the Carbon kit. So the way that I built this was by using the IBM Carbon kit here as well. I'm gonna do one more quick thing here, and then I'm gonna look at the Q&A and see. I've been going for a while. I need to take a drink of water, and there's probably a bunch of questions piling up here as well. But what I want to just finish off on for us here is this part is really, really cool. I think this is the most fun part, and I think the part that Fusion or Builder does better than any of the other tools out there is lots and lots of tools can probably get you to this point where it's like, here's an example of a new progress bar. The difference here is, okay, I want to do two things now. I like number two. I want to actually use number two and see it live in my sign up form. And then second, uh, as a design system owner, I need to actually create this as a new component. I need to document it in my storybook, right? This is like a whole new component we're building here. We need to do it right. And then third, I guess we're going to do three things. I need to get this back into Figma so I can start using it in my Figma designs as well. So let's get going on it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to our design mode. And I am going to select this and press Control C. So I've hit Control C on my keyboard here. And so that's copied to my clipboard. We're going to use that in a second. And before we do that, though, I'm going to say I like option 2. Show it to me on the sign up form itself. And we're going to let that run for a little bit. And let's go back into Jira or Figma. And this is this new thing we built. And so we need it back in Figma so we can use it later. I'm going to again use our plugin here. And I'm going to paste what I copied into our Figma plugin. And now that's ported this over right back into Figma for me. This is really, really cool. And this is really, really useful here. Looks like it didn't do perfect. If I get into this card details, let's see. What could I do? I think the width, maybe hug. Yeah, cool. So it looks good now. And so now we've also got this component here within Figma that maybe we want to reuse. Maybe we want to actually turn this into a component. There's probably lots of people on the call that would be better at turning this into a component than me. But we could see it like did that really well for us. So super cool. And then the last bit that we're going to do, and then I'm going to take a breather. We're going to take a break. Is while this is adding it to the sign up form, the other thing that I have is as a design team, I need to update my storybook. And sorry, this is the wrong view. Yeah, here we go. So I need to update my storybook. And so that is another project that I have here in Builder. I've got my actual project and I've got my actual storybook. So for design teams that are out here, right, we don't want to just be creating any old components and just throwing them in there. We want to do it well and we want to do it deliberately. So we can also fire up Storybook here and I could ask it, make new stories for the option 2 in the progress preview page. This is a new component. And we'll let that run as well. Okay, so we'll let that run. We'll check back in. Let's check in on our sign up form. And now we've got it here on top of the sign up form, which is also really great. And maybe if I want, while it's still generating, we'll let it finish generating. But I'm going to take a breath. Let's just pause and let's recap here what we've done. So we ticked off all of our support tickets here in Jira. We did our ideation and we even moved this up into our sprint for reviewing the financial dashboard. We were able to complete the new map filters, coding that, bringing that from Figma into code. And we're even able to design the whole new product progress indicator Let's see. We also coded the new progress indicator. We'll bring that one up already. That came out of the backlog. What else did we do? I guess I didn't show you reviewing, but that's obviously next, right? And so there's a few things we've already completed as well. And I'm going to pause. We've got a few more things with validations and all that good stuff, but looks like we're getting close on time. So I'm going to take a breather, take a drink, and I'm going to look at some of the Q&As. Joe, if you're on the call, if you want to send me a message of any Q&As that would be good to get to that have been coming up, I'll look at those, but otherwise, I'm just going to look through here. I see what is powering the Builder bot Jira user. We just have an integration that you can activate. So as long as you authenticate into your Jira, the thing that's powering it is the exact same AI that Builder uses. All it's really doing is kicking off for Builder to create a new branch there. How do you point a Builder bot to Jira for bugs at the relevant repository? That's a good question. So yeah, there's going to be lots of folks who have many different projects. And so the way that we do it is two ways. The first is just in your comment, you could just tell it which app you want to use. But if you haven't specified that in your ticket, it'll just ask you, just like it asks you everywhere. If I were to assign it and there wasn't a project specified, the first thing it would do is just say, which project do you want to do this in? And that's really useful because you'll have lots of different applications that you might be working with here. Um, so Joe, I saw you're bringing, how do you see Builder in comparison to similar tools like Cursor or Framer? That's a really good question, right? And so I think if I have, forgive me, let me see if I've got the slide here. I think I've got it just in another deck, but this will be just a quick useful slide to show you all. So where do we fit in the landscape here is if you look at the things in the top left on this view, these are your AI IDEs, right? Copilot, Cursor, Windsurf. Those are really excellent for enterprises. They're really excellent for developers themselves, right? Our team uses Cursor a lot. Our developers use Cursor quite a bit. What it's not great for, though, is it's not like super accessible to non-developers. And so I have talked to some folks where, they get their designer set up with Cursor and building a whole environment on their computer and making sure they have all those things. And you can get there, but it's not very natural for people that are not developers to use those tools. The other tools like Bolt or Replit or Figma Make or Lovable, they're kind of the reverse. They're super accessible to everyone, right? Anyone who needs to can create an account and tell it to build something, and it'll build it really quickly. The problem though is that it doesn't really have a ton of awareness of your actual code and your actual design system. And so a lot of what happens here is it's good for hobbyists and it's good for people that are starting from scratch. But if you build something in one of those tools and give it to a developer, the developer is kind of starting over a lot of times, right? So we are really trying to fit in that top right corner, which is really accessible and easy to use by anyone, but grounded in your code, right? So your engineers would like it as well. And that's kind of what I've been trying to point out here is that everything we've been doing is on the visual interface, but as you can see when we dig into the PRs and the code base, it is doing this like in your code base. And so it does speed up the engineering time as well. As I go through, I'm just looking through some more of the Q&As here. I do want to just show you one other cool thing while I look through the Q&A. So I'm going to kick off one other bit here. And sorry, I've got a lot of different screens, but this is one where I want to just show you, which is validations, or now here, analyze validations for a sign up form. And why this is important is this is one last cool thing, which is everything I've shown you so far is either design stuff or it's development things or it's like actually building. But what I want to look through here is we don't have any validations on any of these fields in the design form. And so a task like this, step one is really to like figure out what even all of the validations should be. So the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch over into plan mode here. And this is like a task that would probably be assigned to a business analyst or something like that, where it's like, hey, go make a huge document of all the validations that need to be applied to this whole sign up form. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that analyst job, put us into plan mode, and just run it here. And what this is gonna do is now what Fusion is doing is it's digging into the code base, it's looking at all these fields, it's just using its own kind of general knowledge to determine what should all the validation on these fields be. And this is super, super valuable. This is probably a task for an analyst where they have to go around to a bunch of different docs. They might have to talk to different people. There's probably like one engineer who owns a database that knows like exactly how the VIN needs to be formatted or something. I don't know. But it could take a lot of time, right? What we're going to do here is we're just going to ask Builder to do that analysis. We're not telling it to actually make any changes right now. We're just saying, go do that analysis and kind of output for me. What should all of this validations be so I can review it? And once we review it, then we'll go ahead and execute it. So we'll let that run while I'm looking at a few more Q&As here. I see another one. We have a multi-brand UI design token system. Is this something that would be easy to integrate via Builder? Yeah, great question. Yeah, the answer is yes. And so let me just pull up. I glossed over a little bit at the beginning of this, the setup pieces, but what I want to point out here is we are going to adapt to whatever your design system is. We're going to adapt to whatever, whatever context you need. And this kind of helps show that. So the big differentiator for Builder is all the stuff here on the left-hand side. So when you get started, you can really think about Builder as onboarding a new engineer onto your team. And so what you're going to do is you're going to say, this is where our code lives. But what we're also hungry for is give us any storybooks or anything that documents your actual design system. Connect us into Figma. We'll index your design systems. Are there any MCPs that we need to see as well, right? We could connect into, we're seeing Jira here, Notion, Confluence, whatever that might be. And then also other example codes. And so what we see here on this design system piece is it's very, very common to have lots of different design tokens. It's very, very common to have different design systems for different parts of your app. I'm working with a company right now, a retail company that is like they own a few different retail stores, right? And so they are multi-branded for everything that they do, and they need a builder to understand how that multi-branding works as well. And so, as an example, everything we've been building here today, for instance, is fully workable with dark mode that is built into this app. So what we built, I forgot to point it out, but this app has different theming. It's theme aware. Everything it built is great for switching between dark mode and light mode also. So it's kind of like a little bit of a sample of how the tokens and the different modes work also. We'll let that guy keep running. Let's see other questions we can answer here. I see a good question from James. I know we're prototyping here, but is there a data connection piece here? Could it do this using a dynamic data source? Yeah, so the answer is yes there. Um, this is a demo app, and so like I just have like some demo data, but I think what was a good example of that was these map filters, right? So what Fusion did here, or what, sorry, Builder and Fusion is the product and Builder is the company, and I kind of interchange them. All the data that was populated here, uh, it populated it by actually looking at our application. If you have APIs that you use for connecting to data, uh, Builder will understand those APIs as well. And so that's very, very common. You might give it an example in the instructions to say, this is where our user's API lives, get data from here. Here's examples of how to call that API. It becomes really effective there. I think that is one of really the big pieces for prototyping, especially, and for like when we're talking about building something new like this financial dashboard. That is a huge, huge win because especially for something like this, it's very data intense. If you want someone to review a dashboard that's very data intense, a lot of times what happens that we've seen is the two biggest pieces of feedback that people give on something that's detailed is like that data's wrong or that color isn't quite right, or that button isn't quite right, right? And so if you're using a different prototyping tool that's close but not exact, it's really frustrating because like you're like, don't worry about the data. I know the data's wrong. I just want you to kind of give feedback on what it looks like. But people really do. It's hard for people that aren't initiated in this process to get past those little mental hurdles when the data looks weird or the colors are off or that's not our button, right? It makes it really hard to give that really valuable feedback. So connecting into the data and the design system really helps a ton in that as well. Oh, I see a good question here. What model is Fusion using? If I click down here at the bottom, and if we look at the models, we really support kind of whatever models you'd like to use. This changes as models change every day, and we update this kind of pretty frequently as well. I always set it to auto. We find that Claude Sonnet 4.5 seems to work the best, but if you have a favorite one, you can always kind of switch and use that also. Let's see, just looking through our Q&As. Um, I see a couple questions about seeing the code of the dashboard. I think maybe I didn't dig into the code a bit, and then I just saw something come through about responsiveness. So let me quickly address responsiveness. I try to remember to do that as we go, but I go too fast sometimes. So everything we're building is responsive by default. All these pages that we're viewing, I can switch in responsiveness modes between, and we could set these breakpoints to what you need. So everything that I've built is built by default responsive. That's also a feature of using your actual design system. Your design system will likely have a lot of responsiveness built into it. And so Fusion Builder isn't just we don't like have our opinion of responsiveness and make everyone use that. We're going to adapt to however your design system, however your apps are use responsiveness. And it's the same thing for accessibility as well. That's usually those questions come together, right? So with accessibility, we're trained on all of these models. It's not the builder model, but all of these models understand accessibility. And so what we do a little bit different is everyone implements accessibility a little bit different. And that's also why being connected to the code itself is so valuable because we're not just going to say accessibility must be this way. We're going to look at your code and see how you do that accessibility yourselves. And we're going to mirror that. Unless you tell us in the instructions, like, hey, we want you to help fix it. You can do it the other way, audit this and tell us what we need to change also. Let's see. Okay, wow, geez, I didn't realize my voice held up the whole time. We've got about 2 minutes left. So I just want to thank everyone for coming. I know there's lots of questions we didn't get to, but please keep sending them in. And again, just to recap what we did here, really what I was trying to drive home was if we remember what this Jira board looked like at the start, I think it is a fairly realistic Jira board, right? There were some big ticket items of ideation and reviewing and designing. And then there was a bunch of small stuff too. And we really did tick off the box of, I think, things that would be 20 or 40 point tickets. We were able to move through those super quickly. And if we had a little bit more time, I could show you how we drag all the rest of these things up here as well. But again, this is really for a team, right? For a product team, how do we accelerate our team versus how do we make just one individual good at this one task? It's how do we do this in a team setting so our whole product can move faster, our whole organization can move faster as well. So thanks everyone for the time. The recording will be available and we'll send that out for everyone that joined. And thanks for all the great questions as well.